Hello and welcome to this time's edition of the monthly mystical. And it's never normally a month away, but this time it has been a couple of weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks. So yes, I'm excited today to introduce Angel McAlistair, who is going to talk about BOTA. This is a really mega interesting subject, so I'm really excited to learn some more stuff about that. All right, so let's bring her in and we'll get going. Exciting stuff. Right, hold your horses now. Here we go. No, not that one. So, yes, so we're talking about BOTA today. There we are. Let's get her in. Admit. Couldn't remember which bit I needed. And here we are. And here she comes. Hi!
Hello.
Hi, Angel. All right, lovely to see you.
Yeah.
Just a nice informal chat all about BOTA today. Yes, so we're going to start off with the obvious question, which is, what does BOTA stand for?
Builders of the Aditum.
Oh, well, see, I never knew that. I don't actually things I don't know. So yes, okay. So
yeah, so yeah,
builders
concepts. The Aditum. The Aditum was it's a Greek word that meant the Holy of Holies, third eye, and the idea is that we are building this point in order to make contact with the higher self. Right. So the whole course is towards expanding your conscious awareness to the point where you're going to make contact with your higher self.
Wow. Okay, cool. And I understand it's a long course.
15 years.
15 years. I mean, that's mental. Mind you, having said that, there's others that take just as long. So that just sounds, when you put it into a context of it's gonna take 15 years.
Well, it can happen at any point. Apparently, the founder of BOTA, Paul Foster Case, his illumination happened when he was 4 years old, out with his mum. Yeah, he had the experience where everything outside came in, and he just realized the unity. And from that point on, he knew it. He'd had the direct experience of the unity of all life. So that's where he started. I know. Yeah. Incredible. It's an incredible story.
Yes. And do you think he actually really knew at 4 years old? Because that sounds a bit.
Well, it's his book about him.
Okay. Can you put it a little bit forward so the viewers can see? This way a bit. That's it. And life. Oh, Paul Foster Case, life and works. His life and works. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much talks about. There's a lot of correspondences, a lot of letters and stuff from people that he knew, and his wife's talking, and various people. He actually started out. He came into the Golden Dawn. So he used to be a musician. And he met Claude Bragdon, I think is Claude Bragdon, who is like the occultist and author. And he used to do card tricks with him in the intervals during the performances. And it was Claude that actually said to him, have you ever considered where tarot actually comes from? And apparently this actually sparks the journey that Case started to take.
Yeah.
And then I think after he'd published, because he started sort of doing this work, and after he'd published quite a bit of it, he was approached one day by a distinguished gentleman that turned out to be witty, who was basically sort of saying, why did Case know all this? Because it's only stuff that initiates would know. And he thought that he'd either broken an oath or that someone had talked to him. And he's trying to find out where he got it from. And Kay said, well, I got it from my own meditation, my own my own work. So he came into the Rosicrucian order of the Alpha and Omega, which was the one that remained loyal to Mathers So he went into that, and he got up to quite I think he got up quite high, but he was expelled. He was expelled. They didn't see eye to eye at the end of the day, and he was accused by Moina of making eyes at his future wife over the altar.
Oh dear.
And so they sort of parted company under a cloud, unfortunately.
It was probably true though, wasn't it?
well, yeah, it probably was.
Oh, excellent. So yeah, so that's kind of him. So he started. So just keeping him with the history there, what made him want to do his own?
Well, it turns out that, I don't know if this is true. It's obviously it's in the book by Paula Clark, and it's sort of held up by others who knew him as well, and verified by his wife and others. But it turns out that he had a strange phone call one day, and he went to meet a strange man in a weird hotel room, and this man gave him the information. I'm not very good at explaining it because it's really weird, but it was Master A, and this was like an ascended master.
Yeah.
Who apparently spoke to him in a hotel room, and from that point on, he basically abandoned his career in music.
Wow.
And dedicated his entire life to, and what it actually is he was given the keys to some ageless wisdom teachings, and he was tasked with bringing it into, reinterpreting it into a modern idiom, and that's where it started.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So then he decided he just gave up everything and and decided to do his own thing
and started pulling the stuff out because he was being channeled apparently.
Okay. So a little bit like
but I don't know if I don't know how accurate that is. It's obviously in a book. It's in a book by the member, that woman, who I think is in the Flow, the Fellowship of the Light. It's a different organization, but they produced the book.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds good anyway.
He sort of started most of his writings was actually in the form of lessons.
Right.
So some of the stuff's published now, but at the time it was coming out in lesson form, and obviously that's where the Builds of the Aditum started as a correspondence course.
So that's how it kind of went. So lessons. The
idea is that what used to be only handed down from master to initiate, word of mouth, apparently something changed, and the masters decided, oh, it's good now, we can do correspondence courses, and everyone's ready to get the information, and you don't need to be secret anymore. So that's the thinking behind that.
I think maybe it was just less dangerous to be so secret, maybe. I don't know.
They do say that, yes.
There was one time, obviously, in moons ago, when it was too dangerous to even speak about anything like that, wasn't it?
Though they mentioned the fact that there wasn't any religious freedom, and it was dangerous to have the knowledge because of you weren't free. What to worship wasn't free, so that was why previously. But apparently it must have changed in the 20s. So yeah, that's when
which would have been quite exciting, wouldn't it? You know, in those days, it would have been very exciting. But it must have been, I don't even know how they would have got a hold of, how do you even find a correspondence course in those days? It's not like you Google, you know. It's quite interesting how they would have found, it's a bit weird, isn't it, how they would have found the courses. Weird. So I think for me, I would personally go with when you just know, you just sort of, you're drawn to what you're supposed to be doing, right? So that's the way I always feel. And in those days it was even more so, right? Yeah.
How did they find it without the internet? How did they,
exactly,
they weren't advertising.
It's this like madness for me, all this stuff that since I've been doing the monthly mystical, I've been finding out all this stuff, and I'm like, how did they know? How did they find? How did they do this? It just never ended. You could go on forever. So getting into how, so we got, yeah, so your man he started off doing, so he was basically just writing him stuff down, and it turned into kind of lessons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then was he still alive when he started the BOTA thing, or was that after he died?
He was. Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Okay. So then he did, I assumed, did he have to make sure that the people were okay before, or is that the case with BOTA, that you have to
It's
make
open
sure that, or is it anybody can join, or how's it go?
They call it the open door, and it is absolutely everybody without restriction. But you obviously at an age, I think it's over 16 or 18 or something like that.
Okay.
But they don't give it to children, but it's anyone. You can be, you apply for membership, and it doesn't matter religious beliefs or any, there's no restrictions whatsoever. You don't have to prove that you're worthy at all. They came away from that idea, because that you used to have to prove you were worthy by going through tests, but there was no, they didn't do any tests. That you basically, as you apply and you pay your dues, and you get basically a little book every month with 4 lessons in it, and you get that every single month. So you've got like a lesson a week. Yeah,
every month for 15 years. That's just crazy, right? That's just mind-blowing to me. It's just like, wow. Okay. And do they actually send you these? Do they send you these little?
Yes.
They actually physically send you the lessons.
Yeah, well, from the States.
Wow. Oh, so there's another question. So it's American based then. So
it is, yes.
Was he American then? Because I don't really know much.
Yes, Paul first case was from Chicago.
Chicago. Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. And then so he, so it comes from America.
Yeah.
America is obviously huge, isn't it, compared to our little the place of, but compared to England.
They've got an office in LA, they've got another one in Dallas, and now they've spread into Europe, and they've got one in Spain, one in Germany, one in Denmark.
One in London.
Yeah, one in London as well. Sorry.
Oh, they have got one in London.
There's one in London, yeah. I should mention that.
That does help.
So they're all dotted. They're all dotted. But the funny thing is that they do these global gatherings where they do a big gather, and lots of people will all come. But what they do, right, they've got like translation booths. And what you get, everybody gets a headset, and there'll be a guy up there talking. He might be talking Spanish, and you can hear him talking. But your headphones, somebody's sitting in a booth translating him into.
That's amazing.
And
that's like an international conference, isn't it?
Yeah, everyone's been translated, but you can see him doing it in the original Spanish.
And do they do that like a big gathering once a year?
Every couple of years, and it's pandemic. They do workshops at that.
Oh, okay. And then so you get to do stuff there as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really cool, actually.
It is.
Yeah, wicked. Okay, so let's get more into the BOTA thing. So we've kind of got who started it, and we've got so it's a big very branched out. It's mega, right?
Yeah,
it's pretty big.
I'm hoping I'm going to do it justice, because I think stuff's going out of my head, and I might say something that's a lot of rubbish.
Oh no, that's not going to happen. It's there, right? So okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty then. So what is BOTA all about? So you say it's about getting into learning about your higher self, is it? So
that's the ultimate goal.
Achieving like being able to connect, I take it.
Expanded state of consciousness, and it's done through what they will call it's going to be a big mouthful, this one.
Go on, go for it.
It's sacred tarot, holy Kabbalah, esoteric astrology, esoteric interpretation of the scriptures, spiritual alchemy, sexual polarity, vibratory attunement, and it all begins with the 7 steps, which is it's almost like a bit like the law of attraction. but it's basically getting you to a point where you visualize, and it starts you off with, because one of the things that they're really heavy on is develop your imagination big time, every day, 5 minutes, picture, picture, picture. So you're building up this picture, and then they teach you a technique to actually transfer it to the back of the head in the eye center, because apparently the brain doesn't know the difference between what you've put there and what is actually happening. So it starts the ball rolling to get what you desire, because the idea is that if you have a desire, it wants to be fulfilled.
Yeah.
So that's so it brings in that at the beginning, and it's hermetic. So it's a hermetic teaching as well. So it's really difficult to describe, because it sounds really simple. Sorry?
You're doing a fab job. Keep going.
Okay. Because to begin with, there's nothing really spiritual in there, but it's sort of starting off very concrete, very on the ground, and very mental development. And also it starts very gradually to bring in hermetic principles, but you don't realize they're hermetic until later, when you get into hermeticism, because it's talking to the man on the street who doesn't know anything from anything, and is curious and is interested in basically mental development at this stage. So from there, you then go into what's called the introduction to tarot, because tarot is the basic meat of BOTA is the tarot. So what happens is that you get a blank deck without no color in it. So it's a blank deck, and you're tasked with coloring each key individually.
Oh, nice.
So you spend a week with the key, and they tell you exactly how to color it, because the color is very, very important, because it's the tarot keys themselves are considered to be the work of masters who've put their wisdom into symbolic form, and if you work with these keys, you tune into their wisdom. So this is part of the process to contact expanded state of awareness and your higher self. You can do that by tuning into masters who are continually meditating, and these people they're like people who've mastered life, and they've decided to assist brothers to reach the same attainment. So they're on the top, they're like at the top of the mountain, and they've got their light, and they're holding the light out. It looks a bit like Jesus. It's that light, the picture when he's holding the lantern. The hermit looks like that.
Yes.
Jesus like, and he's holding up this, because the idea is that they're holding the light and for you to climb up, and they're always there, and they're always transmitting. So if you meditate in BOTA style, then you connect with what they call their inner school, and their inner school is these not quite manifest, because Paul Forscase calls them the invisible companions. So they're not incarnate. Well, I don't think they are. They might be, but it's all very mysterious. But
wow, it's very cool.
So you get your deck, and then you start your intro, and every single key is given a lot of attention. And the idea is that you're actually building it into your brain when you color it, because the idea is tarot on the table, no good. Tarot comes in your head, that's good, because you're not going to need the keys eventually, because they're going to be in your head. And I think Eliphas Levi was the one who suggested that each key can actually be attached to a path on the Kabbalistic.
On the tree of life.
Because later on with both, because you obviously you start with the intro, then you get fundamentals, then you get interpretation of tarot. And then they start giving you magic squares with tarot keys. And then you're getting deeper and deeper, because every day you're looking at these various keys in different, organized in a different way. So when they recommend your 5 minutes, you sort of start, and then you're looking at keys. And then they basically start bringing in something called sound and color, because every single key is related to a color and a sound. So when you actually get your meditation, it's like you might invoke like Adonai, but it will be Adonai, color and sound. So it goes a bit like, Adonai. And as you pronounce each letter, you're looking at a color key. So I had an example of
Okay.
one.
How did you know that that was the right pitch? How do you know that that's the right pitch?
I got one of these.
What's that?
That's a pitch pipe. So it's got all your notes, and then you go.
Oh my God. But what happens if you're a man? So like I've got a really manly voice. So my Adonai would not be the same as your Adonai.
No, it doesn't matter as long as it's the same pitch.
So then how would it be the same pitch? Because like if I say I'd be going Adonai rather than I can't do the high stuff. So does that matter, or is that conflicting?
Well, interesting you should say that, because when we come together, because we do ritual work, we do something called the vibratory attunement. And this is great. Everyone is like man, woman, man, woman, man, woman in the room is actually sitting man, woman, man, woman, man, woman. So, they're all interspaced. And then what they'll do is they'll have the whole tarot, and they'll do 3 keys up on the wall, and they'll actually play each note. Some people will sing one note, other people sing a different note, and then the third people sing. So you choose what you're going to sing, and you choose the color.
Got you,
and then everybody does it together, and it blows your mind, because it's so everyone in that sort of mood, in the zone, and then vibrating with sound and color, and you literally feel like the idea of raising your vibrational rate, an experience of that. And I sort of felt that's what it means when you raise your vibrational rate, because you can't help but being pulled by it. It's amazing.
Well, where are you getting your color from the head? Is it just in your head, so you're just thinking about the color?
No, they have color cards. They have color cards, but they have to be the exact color, because they've got all special, like the Pantone number is really important. So they were recommending a place to go to get the exact colors. And
then what do you do with the color? You're looking at the color. Is that what you mean by color and sound? You
begin by looking at it, because it's basically each color relates to the 12. Because like in tarot, you've got 12 single letters, and they relate to the 12 signs of the zodiac. And then you've got the 7 planets, and they relate to the 7 planets. And then you've got the 3 mother letters. So each one of them is a different color. Okay. And you have to learn it. It's basically what they call the elements of the wisdom alphabet. You have to learn the tarot key, what color it is, what its attributes are, and its Hebrew letter.
I can see the connection with the Golden Dawn here.
Quite
a lot. As you're speaking, I can see quite a lot of the connections there. So he was a Mason, I take it, as well then, because
he was quite high ranking Mason.
You said that you said actually you haven't said in this meeting, but when you've spoken to me earlier on, you said that he was that the BOTA is a kind of a mixture in between of the Masons and the Golden Dawn, and a bit of his own stuff.
There's a lot in the lessons. You do get a lot of Masonic allusions, so you come into something, you'll say, oh, the Holy Royal Arch, and it'll be this and that, and because it's scripture. When he's doing the esoteric interpretation of scripture, he brings out a lot of Masonry into that, because some Masonic rituals, and
they're kind of all connected, really, aren't they? Anyway, so I think that's it was a done deal. But that's wow. So then you go into the tarot, and then and then is that like the first? Don't know how long does that
about 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years.
It takes a long time, because you're doing one at a time. Is
there a way of speeding up this 15 years, or does it have to be so they only say it once a month and you've had it, you can't speed it up?
No, it's basically built on the concept that you're consistent every single day, 5 minutes, and it builds, because it's building it gradually.
Consistency.
You're building it gradually. So it's your intro and then your fundamentals, then your interpretations. Then it goes into the 32 paths, and then you get this.
Oh wow.
And then it starts basically talking about each path.
Okay, yeah.
And then you get the master pattern, and that is the 10 Sephiroth that they start talking about. Once you've done that, you're ready to like come in and do like the Proneus, join the actual healing circle that they've got, which is a ritual.
Okay.
Do a ritual.
And how many years is that before you get to that stage?
About 4 or 5. Yeah, because you need to be. The other funny thing is with the vibratory attunement, you can't just do it. Especially it had to be that the regional coordinator had to come and do it. So the woman had to come from Spain, the Spanish woman, and she didn't talk hardly any English. So she would come in because it has to be someone who can channel. So it has to be someone who's basically opened their
They've built their
Aditum, and to make sure what's coming through is what's supposed to come through.
Wow.
Because apparently it's that powerful.
So from what I understand, that you do like physical meetings as well. It's not just you do physical as well.
Yeah, they do. Well, they do have a study group. So this is great.
So it's not quite the same. So you do the correspondence course is the actual thing.
That's you at home doing your work.
That's what you're doing. But then you also have like a study group that you can play together and do your stuff together, I assume. Yeah.
Study group open to all as well. And it's basically it's like questions. So they've already written the questions. So you get 10 questions. So how it starts is they do this thing where they recite what they call the pattern on the trestle board, which is 11 statements. They're thought to have been written by somebody wise ages ago, based on a Hermetic text. And the pattern is the truth about the self, the higher one, the one self. So basically you recite this pattern. We all do this at the beginning, and then depending on what they're working on, they might have a key or it might be a word, and then they'll spell the word using the keys. And everyone looks at the keys for 5 minutes, and then we'll all come out and they start asking questions. And the idea is that anybody can say anything. There's no right or wrong. They all emphasize if it's coming up, it's good, and we want to hear about it. So there's no that's not right. So they took all the idea of arguing out. So everybody can say what they want.
Yeah.
about the questions.
Flipping awesome, right?
It is brilliant because it all builds, because somebody will say something and then somebody will say, oh yeah, and it's such a camaraderie.
Yeah.
Everybody's interested, and it's just fascinating thing to do. After they've done that, they then go into what they call an Anne Davis meditation, where the Reverend Anne Davis is the lady who took over from Paul Foster Case when he passed away. So she was also kind of the boss then now. Not now.
Oh.
She's dead now. But
she's dead now as well. But, okay.
Anne used to do like lectures like on Thursday nights, I think, and she would be doing this meditation thing.
Yeah.
There's actually a BOTA radio, and
oh, hang on, you're frozen.
In all our lectures and our meditations, but you can sort of listen to an Anne Davis meditation, and it's a recording from the 40s.
Oh,
and
no.
it's really like churchy, and you can hear our choir all doing all the tones and stuff, but it's like really slow and difficult.
Can anybody get a hold of that, or is it just?
Anybody can get a hold of that. It's for the public. If you like, I can send you a link.
Send us a link.
If anybody wants to tune in,
stick it on the bottom.
Anne Davis. Yeah, it's definitely worth a listen.
Yeah, we'd love that. Right, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So she's not there anymore. So who is like the head honcho, if you like? Who
That's a lady called Lisa. She took over from her mother was there, and then she passed away as well. And now Lisa's they call her the proculator. So she's the proculator general. That's what they call the person at the top.
The person
of the tree. Okay. But I mean, in America, I think they actually have what would be an inner order, like in the Golden Dawn, but we don't have any of that over here. I mean, we all consider ourselves to be apprentice builders. That's everyone's called an apprentice builder, and you don't go anywhere. Nobody goes anywhere else. So it's all very, very flat, as in there's no, you don't go up into different levels in BOTA. It does, well, maybe it does in America, but we don't know, because maybe we're too young to have developed that far. But yeah, no, yeah, don't know.
What? So that would be after
a mysterious chapter.
Would that be after your 15 years then?
Maybe.
Yeah, but
no, you don't get any information about it.
And you're like nearly there, aren't you? You've done 14, is that correct, or something?
About 13 years now. So 13. I'm on the second last course, which is called Vibratory Powers, which is very, very powerful stuff. And it's all based on, by now you've got the whole thing's going on now. You're basically, you've become the thing, because you meditated on every little bit of it, like putting it together like a mechano.
Yeah.
And now you can basically just shut your eyes and you become it, just like that. So and it's, you can just sink in. And the meditation is very, very powerful, and it takes quite a long time, and there's affirmations, and there's a lot of different sound and color things to be doing with that, and there's visualizations that are done as well. But it would be, if I went into it, it would be weird, because people need to build up to that. Actually the most interesting course was called Sexual Polarity, and that was where you were working with the inner polarity, but it had the opportunity to do it with like a partner, if you had a partner. So you can actually do these little meditations that, for example, he could be the magician and I could be the high priestess, and then you get the colors going. It's like you visualize a flow, and it's a color, and you put yourself into the well, I would be the high priestess, and Alex Sumner would be the magician, and we would rotate energy between us. And it's, the word that they use is EAO, by the way. That's that when we actually do like the color cards, you're actually going EAO.
Okay, yeah.
On each different note.
Yeah.
So, or they sometimes use OM, but EIO, it's interesting because EIO is also used in the Golden Dawn.
I was going to say, it's very Golden Dawny, yeah.
That's the only word they use. They don't use any other word. That's it.
Okay. Right.
For the intonations.
Perfect. So I mean, if somebody told me, BOTA, okay, it's going to take you 15 years, I'll be going, nah, fuck that. Do you have to do the 15 years? But I don't think, from what you've said earlier on, I don't think you actually have to do the 15 years.
No, not at all. No, it's not.
You can like, so do you reckon that you could maybe achieve your higher self?
It could happen anytime.
Yeah.
Happen, and it's I think the idea is that it's considered like a journey. You're not looking at the goal, because I think the last course has got something to do with getting ready to meet God. So I think that's
Jesus. That's not a good thing.
It's preparation to be departing. How they refer to that is withdrawing from your physical envelope and merging with the infinite.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's like you don't really want to close out. So it's like the journey.
We'll just stay on these ones forever now. Yes, not that.
You can sort of circle back round because it's such a big course.
Yeah.
I've actually read one of the courses several times, because there's a course called The Great Work, basically, and this is where they take the 12 single letters, and each one of them is an alchemical action. And
nice,
for example, Aries, the Emperor, key 4, that is calcination, and it's very cleverly related to the chemistry of calcination and the psychology of calcination, and with examples, and they just go right into it in depth.
Excellent.
And pull out lots of stuff out of the scriptures and various sometimes it's like a mixture of like a psychological mental development, as in how
Yeah.
to focus and get yourself concentrated and fixed. And sometimes it will be a spiritual, very spiritual, and it will go into biblical stories, like the Masons use bits of ritual. That's how BOTA done that too, and they do that with the allegories and
nice.
as you get further in, it gets Rosicrucian in places, especially that the 32 paths is particularly Rosicrucian, because he actually mentions all the Rosicrucian grades and a little bit about what Rosicrucian is.
Brilliant.
Actually is, where it comes from, and he's got a whole idea
losing you a little
about
bit.
brother Christian. It froze a little bit, Joe.
Yeah. Sorry, folks.
Alex.
I'm sure you'll be back in 2 seconds, I hope. Apparently, this happened the other day.
Oh!
It's all right, don't worry. It'll come back in a minute. There we go. Yes, no? No.
It's gone down.
There we go.
How do we get it back?
There you are, you're there. It's just going a bit slow here and there. I think it's okay now. Are we okay? Yeah, we're okay again. Yes.
Oh.
It's probably I don't know what it is. Oh, are you all right? You moving? Yes.
Look, here's Alex Sumner. Are we moving?
Right, yes, we are.
There.
Just a quick question now, because I can't remember whether I asked, and I wanted to ask. Stop, Alex Sumner, please. Thank you.
Alex Sumner.
So the tarot decks that you had plain that you had to colour in, I don't think I asked. Okay. Oh,
As an example.
That's isn't that the that's the French deck, the what do you call it deck, isn't it? Well, it's very similar.
It's based on Rider Waite. It's very similar.
Based on Rider Waite, because that one it looks very similar to the other one. What do you call it? Can't remember it. Anyway, my question was, so they didn't use they didn't make their own BOTA deck. Is it a BOTA deck or is it?
It's a BOTA deck. He's redrawn it, but he has actually
what's the case
changed things.
Okay.
Some of it, I don't know if there's a good example. There's the moon. So
yeah. And are these the ones that you've coloured in?
Yeah.
Oh, wicked.
Justice.
I see. Yeah. So it's very similar to.
You probably see that very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they've changed little bits and pieces of symbolism to fit in with the BOTA teachings.
Okay, so he drew his own deck basically, but pretty much used Rider Waite as an example.
As the
yeah. Oh, that's good to know, because then you know from looking at the Rider Waite stuff, you're going to get the right colours if you already knew that, right? Right, yeah, wicked. So what else? That's really exciting now. I'm quite excited actually about that. I don't know.
It is interesting.
So anybody can join in.
Yeah.
You have to go. So can you just do the correspondence course?
Yeah. You don't have to.
To go and meet up physically.
No, not at all.
If you don't want to.
But even people who aren't members can go to the study group. That is an open door. That means that you can walk in off the street.
Oh, you can just go in and have a look. Kind of.
Yeah, you can come to our study group. You're welcome. Come as a guest. You don't even have to join. It's open to all.
No, that sounds.
The only thing that isn't
an invitation.
Only thing that isn't open to all is the proneus, which is the healing ritual, which you need to be in. Basically, they have initiations. They have 3 initiations. So first step, second step, third step, and then like you get in. Yeah. But they don't do any other rituals. Just these. And
are they like big steps in between? Then are they like a few years? Then, considering it's a long course. So
no, you've usually got them all out of the way, because the third step is the master pattern, and that's 4 years in. So
okay, so you can
do the first initiation after your introduction.
You can do a master thing you would do for 4 years in then.
Yeah.
And then you're allowed to do healing stuff then after that, or come and
Well,
participate?
because the course for healing comes after that. So after the master pattern, you get what's called sound and color, and it is all about healing, and you get to do these.
Oh, okay.
You make your own tattvas, all 25 of them, and you spend a groovy couple of months using them to go in to basically like the Golden Dawn scries. So we actually do that exercise, and then you get your magical journal, and then you've got to write in that every day, even if it's just one word, even if it just says I failed. It's magical diary, very important. Keep a note of anything that bubbles up, because we start to get into the stuff in the later lessons as it's all building, everything becomes very important. You get more psychic, you see.
So
one of the courses is actually called Developing Psychic Powers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's where you go through the whole deck and you actually get to work
we're going again.
Actively with it. So you get yourself into the scene, and you get a story in the scene, and you work it in your head, and it's like quite a magical thing. It was my favorite course, actually.
I bet. Yeah. I think that would be mine. Well done. So you've already shown us one book. Can you give me, let's give me another 2 books that you would recommend? Or if there's more, give me more. I don't care. Right. So we have the Book of Tokens, Tarot Meditations by, can't see.
Paul Foster Case.
Okay. Yeah.
This is the book, one of the first books that he produced, and it's all supposed to be channeled.
Okay.
I'll give you an example of what's in it. It says, "Men think they seek me, but it is I who seek them. No other seeker is there than myself, and when I find my own, the pain of quest is at an end. The fish graspeth the hook, thinking to find food, but the fisherman enjoys the meal." And
that's a head motherfucker, isn't it? Excuse my language. Yes, it is.
That's related to Zaddy, which is key 17, because it's related to meditation.
Yeah, the fish hook to Zaddy. Yeah. Wow.
You're going fishing.
Yeah. Oh, that's.
And there is another book. Joe, can you get The True and Invisible? It's down by the side of the chair. Ask Alex Sumner to get The True and Invisible. It's just down by the chair. Here he comes.
Here he comes. And then maybe put up the other book as well. That's once more. And then can you send the links for all those? Have you got?
I can also send you the link for they used to have a publication called The Lantern, and they recently sent me an email and said, here's a free lantern, because they were celebrating its 100th edition or something like that, because it's still going, but they actually sent a really old one, so it was all contributors from that time as well. So a little occult magazine. And this is the other.
Okay.
You see that?
Paul Foster Case. Can't see the lettering.
It's called the True and Invisible Rosicrucian Order.
Okay, and that's written by him. Yeah.
This is where he tells you about what the True and Invisible Rosicrucian Order is, but it's quite funny in places, because he's obviously fallen out with Mr. Waite. So he does in places actually name him as well and say, the true Rosicrucian Order, not the other Rosicrucian Order.
That sounds like something I've heard recently, actually. Not say. We'll not talk about that. But yes.
He didn't think very much of that.
Oh wow. Yeah. Oh, that's good. So that would actually give you a lot of information about BOTA in both of those.
Oh yes. That would actually elucidate a lot of Paul Foster Casey's own feelings and concepts, and it's very Rosicrucian rather than BOTA. It is very Rosicrucian, but it uses the tarot. It actually goes through all the Rosicrucian grades, with the tarot keys as well. So
is that in which book is that in? One of those
True
books?
Invisible.
Oh, okay, yeah, lovely.
It's a workbook.
And then can you put up the other book as well?
This
The one you showed us earlier, just so we can see it again. Now this one isn't by, obviously this is by Mr. Who is it? Dr.
It's by Dr. Paul Clark.
And he's
the head of another order. I think, I'm not sure about this, but I think it's the Flow. I think it's called the Flow, which is the Fellowship of, I don't know, Fellowship of something. Light, something to do with light.
But he's like,
sorry, Lux Occulta.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Sumner.
The hidden light.
The hidden light. Okay. Yeah,
that's it.
And that's all about, Paul Foster Case, though. It's about his life, is it?
It is, yeah. It's especially the whole thing about where he came from, how he met, who he met, and how it all came through, and what he actually did and does. And it was another interesting bit, actually. In the early days, he realized at the age of about 4 or 5 that he could manipulate his dreams. And he wrote a letter to Rudyard Kipling, of all people, the Mason, to sort of ask him about it. And apparently Rudyard Kipling sort of confirmed, yes, there is a 4th dimension. So strange stuff. But so yeah,
okay,
it's very strange.
That's weird. Yeah. So does that mention in that book? Does it mention him like as a 4-year-old and having the light and all the rest of it? Oh, that's so interesting.
It's also got a lot of letters between him and Waite and him and Israel Regardie, because they were friends. So there's a lot. They were starting to think about what they were all about. There's a lot of really interesting letters in the book as well. So anyone interested in that sort of thing, it's obviously original, because they're letters, so that's original works where they're talking to each other, but very, very interesting things. Also disagreeing with each other.
Well, do you know what? This has been a very educational evening, and thank you so much. Yes, you've just told us so much that we didn't know before.
Or at least I did. All right.
I don't know about anybody else, but I certainly didn't know anything about BOTA, so it's very educational, and that was the whole point. It's the whole point of the monthly mystical, is to get us all educated into lots and lots of different subjects, and then pick whatever we fancy, really. Yeah.
Well, I can let you know when the next study group's there. If you never know, somebody might want to take a walk out and have a wee look and see what it's like.
Definitely. So I'll get, if you can send me all the links to all the stuff, and then I'll put them in the comments into the video. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much, Angel.
That's all right.
Lovely to see you.
That was great. Hope I didn't come across too silly.
Gosh, no, you were amazing. Perfect.
I'm not used to doing this sort of stuff, so it might be a bit rough.
Perfect. You were perfect.
All right.
Lovely to see you. Enjoy your wine, and I'll see you soon.
Good wine.
Yay!
Bye.
All right. Bye then.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. How'd I get?
Well, that was amazing. That was so interesting, right? Yeah, I never knew any of that stuff. So yes, perfect. Thank you very much, Angel, for that amazing interview. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this interview. And I hope I'll see you all soon, hopefully. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Please do your little thing on there. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with all your friends. Do the little notification. There's a little bell thing that you can put on there so that you can get all the other stuff that's coming up. There's loads more. There's loads more new interviews coming up very soon. And yes, I shall see you all on the next edition of the Monthly Mystical. Thank you so much for joining in. See you soon. Have a lovely, lovely day, lovely evening, a lovely morning, or whatever time you've watched this. See you all soon. Bye.